What's up, people? This is an electric bike called the Snugger from Ridel. Now, I have some experience when it comes to electric rideables like the boosted board and the Z board, but this is my first e-bike and I'm pretty stoked. So, when the bike arrives, it's actually not assembled. You have to put it together. This includes putting on the front wheel. You also have to put on the monitor. You got to slide the battery in. You got to put the pedals on. I did it by myself. It took me between like 30 to 45 minutes, but if you have someone helping you, I'm sure you could probably do it in like 20 or 25. Ridel also recommends bringing the bike to a professional and having them assemble it if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself or if you have no experience putting a bike together. So let me give you some specifics about this bike. First of all, it has an aluminum frame, so nice and solid. It supports 385 pounds, which is kind of funny because on the website, it states like 275 or 300, and then in the manual, it states 275 or 300. Two totally different weights. And when you think that this is a two-person bike, that just really isn't sufficient for most people. So I contacted the company and they let me know that the weight limit for their two-seaters is actually 385 pounds, so you don't have anything to worry about. To ensure the ride is as smooth as possible, we have a Mozo suspension fork system. So you can see the suspension right here. And to go along with that, we have these extra thick tires that are not only good to grip the road when you're riding it on pavement or the road, but also to go off-road. I mean, these tires are super thick and beastly. Like, they are amazing, to be honest. So like I said in the beginning, this is a two-person bike, so we have an extended seat here, so you could sit up front and then you have your passenger on the back. And to go along with that, we have flip-down footrest for the passenger to rest their feet. However, if you're a solo rider, you can use this elongated seat to readjust yourself. So if you're too close to the handlebars, you could scoot back. If you want to get closer to the handlebars, you could scoot forward. So having this extended seat is actually a really big win, in my opinion. So we also have quick release locks right here for the front wheel, and there's another one for the seat. You also have a tail light, which can be turned on with a switch right here, and then you can turn it off. And then right below that, you also have a power switch, which I can't really show you because it's like way underneath there, but you can easily get these two switches confused. The taillight switch is much thinner and smaller, and you can just easily switch it on and off. We also have a headlight, which can be turned on right here with this red button. Just simply push it. That's on, that's off. And right below that, we have a horn. So a really cool feature that many people may not be aware of is there's a USB port right here underneath the LCD display. So you can charge your phone while it's connected to like a bike mount right here instead of having to use the second USB port, which let me show you where that one's at. The second USB port's on the back of the bike right here. And this USB port right here is for your passengers. So if you have someone on the back of the bike, now they can charge their phone while they're riding with you. So the Ridel Snugger comes with two keys, and these are actually not used to start the bike. They're used to remove the battery. Let me show you. So you're gonna take the keys, put it in the little key slot there, turn it counterclockwise, grip the battery after turning it off, and then slide it right out. That way, if you're going to like a store or you're going to school, you're going somewhere where you're going to be in that specific location for, a hot minute, you could take out the battery and then no one can steal your bike or your battery. And also, you can remove the battery to charge it, as well as check the battery levels by tapping the indicator right there. And technically speaking, it's also one gigantic external battery pack. So you can use this to charge your phone. It's pretty big, but you can do it. Outside of this bike being an e-bike, it's also a manual bike, and we have a 7-speed gear switch here that you can easily switch while you're riding. And then we have an LCD display right here, and the controls for the bike in terms of switching the different modes are all found right here, as well as the on and off button. And on the LCD display, you'll see everything that you need to know, which I'll show you here in just a minute. So to get up and running when it comes to this bike, there's a switch back here that you have to flip. You'll hear it, just like that. And then you hold down the M button right here and you'll see the LCD turn on, and now you're pretty much good to go. Going back to this LCD display, it actually shows a lot of useful information like your battery level. We have an odometer, your speed, the different modes, as well as the watts being used. Any error codes will also pop up, and then your power level. So over here we have an up and down arrow, and this is how you can cycle through the different modes as well as the power levels. So if you're in a power level 0, that means this bike is fully manual, so you just ride it like a regular bike. Going up to power level 1 in eco mode, it's going to be pedal assist, but it's going to help you save some battery. So it's basically staying in the manual mode type of bike, but giving you a little bit of that juice. Going into standard power level 2, it's going to give you a little bit more, electric. So it's still pedal assist, but it's going to give you a little bit more power, a little bit more speed. Same thing with power level 3, staying in standard mode, just a little bit more power, a little bit more speed. Going into power mode and power level 4, we're starting to get into it being just an e-bike. So you're going to get even more power, even more speed, and less pedal assist. And then power level 5 is pretty much all e-bike mode, giving you the most power, most speed, and this is the mode that I tend to enjoy the most. So right here next to the gears, we have our accelerate button for going into like e-bike mode. So I'm about to take off. Here we go. So how's the experience been? Well, I gotta say, first of all, this bike is really comfortable, and I love the step-through design. So you don't have to step over the seat, make yourself look awkward, trip over the bike in front of your friends, and then you just look like a clown. The seat is really comfortable. The suspension actually works really well, and thanks to these thick tires, I've yet to have any issues when doing sharp turns. Like the tires stay gripped to the road, and I feel safe overall riding this thing, despite it going up to 28 miles an hour. Well, that's the advertised speed, that is. Now, I've been able to get up to about 25 miles an hour, and overall, I get anywhere between 30 to 35 miles in terms of range. Now, depending on your weight, the terrain that you're riding on, how many hills you have, or other factors, you might get less miles, or you might get more, or you might be going faster. You might achieve the full 28 miles an hour, but for me, I was able to get between 23 and 25. So this bike does have regenerative braking, but it doesn't give you that much power. However, I guess if you're using it in the manual only mode, you might, get some power back. But for the most part, I wouldn't rely on that to give you any extra juice if you run out of battery. And to go along with all this battery talk, if you're curious about how long it takes to charge this thing, it's actually significantly longer than, say, something like the boosted board that I'm used to. It takes 5.5 hours to charge this from 0. So don't plan on driving up to your local Starbucks, getting a coffee, and then charging your battery. It's just not gonna happen. When it comes to safety, I highly suggest that if you pick up one of these bikes, to get yourself a helmet. I'm gonna go ahead and order myself one. You see, in Florida, we're not required to wear helmets, so I've been able to get by without one. However, this does go really fast, and I want to protect my noggin. Also, make sure you check with your local laws on e-bikes. Since this does go up to 28 miles an hour, that might be against the law, and it might be, you might have to register it as a regular vehicle. So make sure you check your local guidelines and laws. Honestly, this bike is a lot of fun. It's way funner than I thought it was gonna be. It's definitely eye-catching, so while you're riding it, people are gonna give you some weird looks. I mean, it has that whirling sound of an electric vehicle, but it's a regular bike. So it's really interesting. I could see this being great for people that live in cities and you need to get around and you don't feel like taking public transportation. This could definitely come in clutch, but keep the pricing in mind. It comes in 2 different motor options. We have a 500 watt and a 700 watt motor. Pricing starts at $1,699 for the 500 watt and basically $2,000 for the 700 watt. So it's basically like a vehicle replacement. So you got to look at it from that perspective instead of just being a bike. So the Ridel Snugger is actually a bike that I've come to really enjoy, and I can easily recommend it to anybody looking for an alternate means of transportation and trying to get out of public transit, or maybe you're just trying to get away from your car and any car payments. This could be a great option, and I really have enjoyed my time with it. I even put my puppy or my dog on my chest in his little harness and I drive him around sometimes, and he seems to enjoy it, or he's just terrified. One of the two. But if you have any questions about this bike, go ahead and drop me a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next video. I'm about to ride out, literally. As soon as I get in the right mode. Give me a minute. Peace. I'm out. So to get up and running with the Snugger, that's a funny word. is 385 pounds. So you really don't have anything to worry about unless you're gordo, kind of. It has an aluminum frame, so nice and solid. Kind of hurt a little bit. Ow. Oh, I missed it, didn't I? I'm out of breath for some reason. God.